In this 3-2-1 short from Engine Yard, we are going to set up and use a MySQL database. Our short film concept is this. In just 3 minutes, we're going to teach you 2 things in this single video. So given that you have an EYK cluster, and we can use the sample Ruby quiz application, we're going to do 2 things. We're going to show you how to provision that database and then connect your Rails application to it. This is our architecture. We've already got a game cluster, and we can use our sample quiz application. Let's assume we also have a tic-tac-toe game. We're going to provision our database. Now each cluster runs inside of its own VPC, so these applications will be able to talk to our database. Let's assume that we also have a separate finance cluster, which runs a billing application. So by default, it will not have connectivity to our MySQL database. We could submit a ticket to set up VPC peering or other connectivity if we needed to do that. Now, to provision MySQL, go to the Databases tab and click on Add Database. You can choose the cluster, give your database a name. We'll just go with Quiz Database. Also Quiz User, we're not that creative. So we're going to choose MySQL, and then for the engine, we like the latest, so we'll go with 8.0. You can up the storage if you want to, and we're going to use a small instance size for right now. Click on Create Database, and you'll see the progress. Then you'll see your database is created. So if you click on View, all of the information is here. We can use this to incorporate the database into our Rails application, and you've got copy icons, so you can click the secure information, capture your password and host name. Let's look at the code now. This is the project we're using. The link is in the resources section. And take a note that we're on the RDBMS branch. Try saying that 5 times fast. And let's take a look briefly. So in the gem file, we added the MySQL2 gem. And then if you take a look at the database YAML, our adapter is that MySQL2. And the username, password, and host. You notice that we've pointed to the Rails application credentials. So this topic can be a bit confusing. So let's look at it in more detail. We're using Rails 5.2. You're going to run the Rails credentials edit command. You can supply your creds, and it's going to encrypt them using a generated master key. You don't want to check that key file into the repository, so on builds, you're going to set this build flag using EYK config set, export your master key as an environment variable, declare that argument in your Docker file, and that'll get sent along with the build. Finally, in production, you also use the EYK config set for your master key in that environment. So we can go back to the command line, run the Rails credentials edit command. In the editor, supply your creds and then save that. It's going to generate the key if it doesn't exist, produce the encrypted file, and also update your git ignore so that we don't check in that master key. I can show you briefly, we have 5 application config variables now that we're going to use. We're all set to do our Git Push. We'll specify the branch, and away we go. This is going to package up our application into a container, deploy it. EYK open, we can look at our quiz application, and yes, that investment was Bitcoin. Now let's go ahead and edit that question. We'll put a hint in at the end. This is PHP my admin, just to verify we are actually using the database. There, we've updated the question. Let's run that again, and we can see our question has been updated, so that did work. Well, that's it for this 3-2-1 short. Browse to ey.io today. Click subscribe for future tips and tricks.